Well, I can see the red hot takes in the comments already, but yeah, I thought The Acolyte, flaws and all, deserved better.
You in danger, girl.
Hey y'all, my name is Mike Vaughn, and I might get some hate here, but I'm super bummed out that The Acolyte is not getting a second season. So in this video, I want to talk about the latest news, but moreover, why I think the show was a hidden gem and should have gotten another season. Before we begin, please consider giving this video a like and subscribe to the channel. Your support means everything to me. Now, back to the video. Deadline broke the story that The Acolyte would not be getting a second season. The reason is pretty cut and dry. The show started off strong on the ratings with a 4.8 million views on Disney Plus, making it the biggest streaming premiere on the platform this year. Those numbers would climb the following week to 11 million viewers. Yet, the ratings fell off and the show sadly never rebounded from this. It didn't help that some sections of the fandom were happy to use this show, especially episode 3, to totally rip The Acolyte to shreds. Let me be clear, I do think the show has plenty of issues, but it just gave me such a gross feeling considering that episode 3 was queer-coded, dealing with two women raising two girls. And of course, this was the episode that stoked such a vile backlash, which made me both sad and pretty angry. And look, I'm probably going to already be getting a lot of hate on this, but it's such a straw man argument that people were upset about breaking the lore when this happens all the time in Star Wars. Or the other argument I see is the Jedi are not portrayed in the best light. Well, yeah, in my opinion, that's the point. The Jedi are flawed. This is what will be their undoing. If anything, it's seeing stuff like this that, in my opinion, adds more depth and weight to Order 66. Also, let me be clear, if you hated this episode, I'm not saying you're any kind of phobic. Again, I also had some issues with this show and this episode, which I will get into later. However, seeing the flood of woke culture war videos, which unfortunately are very popular and profitable, was really depressing to see. Like, seriously, it kind of just put me in a funk for a while. But at the end of the day, people are always going to right-wing grift. That's never going to change. Yes, it's a free country, and I happily don't have to watch those kind of videos. So, for those still watching this video, thanks, and done my rant is. The Acolyte did have its share of issues, which I covered in my review, but to quickly sum up, yes, it very much had pacing issues, the dialogue could be dreadful at times, and some of the characters and elements just felt out of place. I think what ultimately redeems the show is it just feels like Star Wars to me. By that, I mean it was so exciting to see new worlds, new creatures, amazing lightsaber fights, and just totally letting myself be absorbed into the world around me. Even if some of the characters weren't as well rounded as I would have liked, I still found them compelling. These flawed people carry a lot of pain, fear, guilt, and how the thread between the light and the darkness is always in such peril. The conflicts within the characters are well handled and make not only for a compelling narrative, but it feels right at home with the other Star Wars properties. One aspect of this series that was so interesting, and also something that I wish they would have leaned into more, was the conflict between the Jedi Order and the Senate. Getting a glimpse on how exactly a government body deals with what is basically magical police is so fascinating. Prior to this, we don't really get a good idea about how the government and the Jedi work together, like what oversights, if any, would be in place. So, when we get a look at how the Senate rightly wants to know what powerful beings are doing in the name of the Republic, it's pretty interesting. Especially when we see the Jedi are covering stuff up in order to stave off political oversight. I think this fits the overall show's theme of the Jedi having this mindset of their way is the best way. Hell, when a coven attempts to practice the Force in their own way, well, we see how that turned out. The show left off on a cliffhanger. Sure, I have no doubt that probably a series, either by book or comic, will fill in those blanks, but it's just not the same as seeing it in live action. It teases the audience so much, in fact, that I thought that maybe this was a case where two seasons were already filmed, especially considering the shorter runtimes per episode, which, again, for me was definitely a huge issue. Here's the thing, I love Star Wars. I love the lore and how it's such a fun escape. It's okay when not every project is exactly what it could or should be, because at the end of the day, there are so many different Star Wars IP to enjoy, from the movies, shows, games, books, etc. But damn, I do think the show deserves so much better, in terms of from the fandom and yeah, from the showrunners themselves. The core idea and the themes are fantastic. And if given a chance, those could have been expanded upon and given more complexity and layers to what has come before and after it in the Star Wars timeline. But come on, people, look at the 4.1 on IMDb to see how reactive fans were. Again, this doesn't shield the show from criticisms. However, I feel like this scorched earth bad faith criticism is not useful at all. And for those still sticking with me, thanks a lot. Please consider checking out these other videos, and I will see y'all in the next one.